Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily. Des here. Thursday thoughts. Cracking on towards another weekend, but of course, before Wake Up to Walk tomorrow, we've got your questions answered, the live session. I'll let you into a little bit of a secret there. I hit the button to start the timer, but not the live button, so I was actually talking for a few minutes. Schoolboy error. Do that quite a lot, trying to multitask, Us men aren't very good at that, are we? But there you go. Let's not stereotype. Let's not get into that. I've got some good questions to go at, as ever. Really appreciate those that have got involved, those that have sent things in response to last week's throwback, the questions. Bit of a mixed bag today. I've got 3 to go at. One of them's quite current, and the others are about activity. But we'll get onto that shortly. Like I say, cracking on towards another weekend. Hopefully you've had a fantastic week. I'm feeling much more positive this week. Whilst there's still all those things going on around us, whilst we've still got to do all the things we've been doing in the recent past, we've got to sort of be positive as well, haven't we? We've got to really look forward to the things we enjoy. This is definitely one of those for me, getting on a Thursday, getting out of my comfort zone, and making those small errors like I've just mentioned. But it's all a learning curve. It's all about getting used to it, getting used to what we do, getting used to the times at the moment, the changes that are happening, and that's something I'm accepting, moving forward with, and hopefully you can too. Hopefully the information I've got can just help a little bit. I always say it, I'm like a stuck record with it, but nothing too much, nothing too technical, just little bits of information that just might help. I made a couple of comments yesterday, didn't really get into too much depth on Wednesday workout, but a few people said, "Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that." And that's all it's about, isn't it? Just giving people a bit of food for thought almost, and Thursdays are definitely about that, aren't they? We always start with a throwback question, which this week was really light-hearted. Well, last week I asked the question, what have you watched on TV? Because we all sort of, as a nation, we're all a bit obsessed with the television, aren't we? Telly addicts used to be in the 80s. But yeah, we're all a little bit obsessed with what's on TV. And of course, we've got a bit more time than normal. We can't go out. We can't do the things we enjoy in that sense. We can't meet all with people. So we've all probably got ourselves engrossed in certain box sets or certain programs. I mentioned a couple last week when Dawn asked me the question. I mentioned It's a Sin, Gogglebox. It's about watching the television, isn't it? So it just thought it'd be a useful throwback question to give people a few ideas, because we all love a few ideas, don't we? It's what Netflix is all about these days. Have you seen that series on Netflix, and then you get engrossed in it, and then everyone's talking about it? So I thought it'd just be quite useful to throw it back out there, see what you guys have been watching, try and get a few ideas myself, try and pass a few on to others. It looks like 1 or 2 might have taken up my suggestions, but just to sort of run through those, Kirsty says she's been watching 8 out of 10 Catster's Countdown and Would I Lie to You? A bit of comedy on a Friday evening to switch off from the news, to switch off from all that negativity, to try and remain positive, to try and go into the weekend in a positive mindset. And that's fantastic, isn't it? That's what I'm always encouraging. Kay, she's been watching RuPaul's Drag Race. She told me she's watching that after DOdaily today, so I have to be finished for 7 o'clock. She's just out walking at the minute, getting steps up. Ben says he's watched It's a Sin. I'm not sure when he did, but hopefully it's been after what I said last week, and he's really enjoying Ranga Nation. Again, light-hearted stuff, comedy, isn't it? Dawn, she's watched Death in Paradise from Series 1. She really now wants to go to Guadeloupe. I think that's how you say it. Not watched that myself, something I can possibly look up. Davna says she's watched all 15 series of ER whilst doing the ironing. That's 800 episodes, she tells me. So there's quite a lot of ER in there. Quite a lot of ironing. It must have been a big pile. And John says, amongst other things, he's watched The Queen's Gambit, Bridgerton, and It's a Sin. I was asking Kay about Bridgerton. I'd not heard of that one. She says it's a box set on Netflix, so it might be something I get into as well and give a watch. So just a few ideas, guys. Like I say, nothing too much. Just a few things that other people are watching, people who are friends, don't know, who are looking into this. Just gives us, might just stumble across it and think we'll give it a go, and you never know, you might really enjoy it. Really sort of good stuff there. There's lots of things to watch. There's lots of things to do. And all we're trying to do is be inspired to try different things. What we might enjoy, what we might take something from. And like I say, we all watch the television, don't we? So there was thanks for that. Thanks for those who popped those in. Absolutely fantastic to have those, and sort of, like I say, give myself some thought about what I might watch next. Getting into the questions, I've already said it, but as ever, it couldn't work without you guys, and there's a staunch sort of backing I've got there of people who wanting to support this. So thanks again to those. Question 1: would the current news about vaccinations put you off having it if you hadn't already? Kay asked me this just before she went out, and I thought it was a great question to sort of go at. It's something I've spoke about a lot, and a lot of my friends have now had the opportunity this week to get the vaccine with the small error of being over 40. It's opened it up to a lot more. And they've managed to get in there, and their appointments have been sort of. Their appointments have gone ahead, even despite the mistake, because they let people go who book them in. So it's great, because I know when I had my vaccine, it really put a spring on my step. It was one step closer. Whilst I was really, really lucky, and I really can't emphasize this enough, to get it so early. Doing some work with the NHS, I was lucky enough to get it. It put a spring in my step. It made me feel good. It made me feel like the end was in sight. And hopefully all those guys that have had it this week feel exactly the same. Whilst it's coming down the levels, getting to more and more people, hopefully it can pick up people's mood and spirit. Because again, I think it's gone a bit flat, with all the news that was about last week, and the worries about society as it is today, and lockdowns and restrictions. We need that positivity. We definitely need it. It almost feels like it's wore off a little bit again, so we definitely need to sort of use this. The fact that more and more people are getting it, watching that number go up every day. When I do watch the news, the bit I'm really keen on is seeing the number of vaccinations and the number of people who have had the second vaccination as well. So I'm almost due for that. But to answer Kay's question, it's a really important subject, isn't it? Would the current news about the vaccinations and the fact that some countries have stopped giving out the AstraZeneca vaccination because of the risk of blood clots. What I will say is what I've seen, what I've seen and what I've listened to has been quite reassuring. The numbers are very, very low, and in relation to people having blood clots in general, some of those people in these countries that have experienced this, of course, that's not a great thing, after a vaccination. But it almost seems a little bit coincidental. I'm no expert. I'm no medical expert, despite what I do with the NHS. But it just seems like the numbers are very low, and we're being told in this country that the benefits outweigh the risks, and that's what we've got to go with, haven't we? There's experts out there that are telling us this. Surely they wouldn't give us this at the risk of creating a blood clot. Why save your life in one way and then sort of take it away from you in another? Almost, It's a bit extreme in both sides, but you know what I mean. Surely it's important just to get this vaccine, to sort of get on top of this virus. Of course, there's going to be other things that happened. The world didn't stop for COVID. It might have stopped in many ways for us individually, but it didn't stop illnesses. It didn't stop other things, and a bit of attention's got to be put on those. But we really need to get this vaccine. We really need to get back to normal, because as well as the sort of physical health and the impacts of illness on that, the mental health too, it's something we speak about a lot through DOdaily. It's so important to get people doing the things they want to do. I talk about being around people who are positive, but I see the negatives as well. I see people who are crying out for certain situations to return, and the sooner that happens, I can only try and encourage people to sort of do other things, take on activity, do all the things we're talking about. But until they get back what they need as well, it's not gonna be the answer, is it? We need to get back to some sort of normality and then work from there. It doesn't put the world right, not having COVID. The world was broken before then in many ways, wasn't it? But it gets us back to a better footing, back to a better place to sort of build upon. So I think it's really important that we have this vaccine. I've been an advocate of it, of course, through my role in the NHS as well, and the fact I felt really, really lucky to get it so soon. I'm somebody who would definitely encourage everyone to sort of take part, and try and protect themselves from what can potentially happen. I'd love to hear your comments on it. If you can comment below on whether you've had it, whether you experienced any side effects from it. I actually got a few side effects, felt a bit groggy for a few days. I know a few people that felt the same. So I'm going to throw a bit of a question out there right now. What was your experience of the vaccination? And would you have the vaccine if you haven't already? Along the same lines as what Kay's asked already. Please comment below in the comments. I'd love to hear that. I think this is a really important subject, and it's really important that we try and get on top of it. So if you haven't, I'm encouraging you to do it for what that's worth. Who listen to me, really? But, it's definitely worth thinking about, definitely making sure you get it as soon as you possibly can. Those guys who had it this week, so glad they did, so pleased for them. And it seems more and more all the time people are saying they've had it and they're pleased to have it. So that's great, isn't it? Like I say, comment below on your thoughts on that question. Question 2. I love this kind of question. Just a short, snappy. It could be a short, snappy answer, but it won't be, will it? Because that defeat the purpose of Thursday Thoughts. But John says, "What's your favourite race distance?" There's many, of course. You could do 5K, you could do 10K, you could do half marathon, 10 miles. There's all sorts of distances. I've seen a conversation brewing this afternoon in the Do Running WhatsApp group, in a small WhatsApp group we've got for the regulars, talking about ultras and that kind of distance. And I've been lucky enough to cover almost every distance. Sorry. I've done 5Ks, of course. I do park runs regularly. You get that free weekly timed 5K. Done all distances, 10K all the way up to, I think I've done a 50-mile. Well, I know I've done a 50-mile ultra, which absolutely killed me within 24 hours. But a massive achievement. I wouldn't say it was my favourite. It was a massive achievement, but it definitely weren't my favourite. Really enjoy completing marathons. I've done 4 marathons now, got my 5th planned. I've actually done 5 if you count the virtual London Marathon. And again, whilst it's a fantastic achievement, do I enjoy doing it? Probably not. Probably enjoy the training more. It's a really, real big effort, And even with half marathons, you can sometimes push yourself too much in those, and really try and sprint them out, and you can burn out by the end of it. I think a great distance, and probably my favourite distance to run, I've only done it once. I did the Great Edinburgh Run. I was due to do the Great South Run a couple of years ago, but I did the Great Edinburgh Run a few years before that. A 10-mile event. It's just a really nice distance, really enjoyable. I know John's done the Great South Run, so if you agree with me, comment below. And everybody else, comment what's your favourite distance. But I think a 10 miles, great distance. It's a good effort. It's a good distance. It can be like a Sunday long run for me, where I can go and sort of torn out. But when it comes to race day, you can feel like you've really achieved something, but you've perhaps got something left in those last couple of miles. You get to the 10K point, 6 miles in, and whereas in a half marathon, you might be dreading the back end of it. You've got a real opportunity to give it a bit of a push sometimes, and almost that last mile really push on. So 10 miles is a really nice distance. Generally takes me, well, at the time it took me about 1 hour, 25 minutes, probably take me a bit longer now. But I'm building up again, starting to think about distance. So that's something I can work to. 10K is always a great distance as well. You can, whilst it's still a long way, you can just step on it a little bit, try and push yourself that little bit harder. And of course, as you come down the distances, you can push on. But I think 10 miles, you find that sort of balance between working too hard, but finding some achievement as well, if you get what I mean. I really enjoy that distance. You don't generally find many of them, so I must sort of do them again. I've been down to do the Great South one twice, and for whatever reason, it's not happened. So I'd love to get down there and do that and give it a real go. It's a flat route as well. The one I did in Edinburgh was up around Arthur's Seat, so it was an absolute beast. But yeah, that's my favourite distance. Like I say, comment below on anything you've got to say on that subject. What's your favourite distance? Where was it? I'd love to hear that. Be great to hear. Question 3. Different kind of question, this one. I'm really pleased Dawn has asked me this. Recently on a sort of one-to-one basis in small groups, I've been looking to coach people, and get them fitter. Everything I do through the Do Running group, I do through the community interest and what I've set up there through the different running groups in normal times and through the online resources we run through COVID and through the lockdown, which I'm hoping to take forward and amalgamate and find a way of working them both together. Got lots of exciting ideas. I've been working on some of those just this afternoon. Everything's free. Everything has been available. I want it to be that way. I want it to be no obligation, people to come and take part. But what I've been doing in the background is working on developing myself as a coach, because when I started the groups, it was there for everybody. It was supposed to be free. People will come along and do what they want. But I've got this real sort of drive to help people sort of develop. From when I started, there were people about encouraging and supporting me. And whilst I'm totally impressed by the guys who run off and do super distances and super speedy and things like that, and the beauty of Do Running and the groups we do have in more normal times is we've got a mixture of both. They really impress me, but I'm really inspired by the guys who start from scratch, pick it up, and not necessarily find it that easy. I never find it easy, but who do great things, but they have to slug it out, day in, day out. They just churn them out and they do it with a smile on their face. They're not trying to compete with anyone. They just do it for the love of running. And it's all about just doing it, isn't it? It's all about just getting out there and doing it. And that's what I want to do. So I kind of find this real sort of drive to help people, and I talk every day about we get so much from helping people, don't we? You can go and run a PB, but I can assure you, if you help somebody get a PB, you get so much more from it. It makes you feel fantastic. That person, enjoys it, and you're building that relationship all the time. So I found this real sort of desire to get into coaching. I've started on sort of several courses looking into coaching in terms of running, in terms of coaching people as well, and it's something I really want to take forward. To be honest, I was one of those people who plodded through life to a point until I got into running, really, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I've had some good jobs, I've had some not so good jobs, but now I found something I really, really enjoy and helping people, trying to find different ways of doing it as well. What I've done, of course, lockdowns had a massive impact, and having to work with people in smaller groups and individually, trying to work off personality as well, rather than all the technical stuff. Some of that has to come into play. We have to think about it. We have to think about rest and recovery and diets and things like that. But what I'm trying to do is kind of understand people, understand what makes them tick, when is the right time to push them, when is the right time to bring them back, be honest with them, be positive, when I think that they could give more or that they're not doing enough, is just say, this is the way it is, this is the way I see it, because I think that's really important. And it just all boils down to those things, really. And like I say, getting getting something out of people is so rewarding. You know, when you bring them on, when you bring them up to a level that they're really pleased with themselves. You know, I've done a thing called Iron Jan, where I was looking at lots of different things, including the running. It's kind of a running boot camp, but it includes looking at diets, looking at habits and things we do, you know, on an everyday basis. I'm looking at sleep and alcohol consumption and all those things. So it's just trying to sort of create all these good habits, and it really worked. It was really successful. You know, I just did it with Kay and one other, you know, at the time, you know, and we've extended that. I extended it into February, Fitter Feb, called it March On, you know, and it's just working. People are taking something from it. We're recording times. Again, whilst I say it's not all about being speedy and quick, it's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative to the individual, and it's all about making that individual understand. What I try to do through that, again, is not sort of overload them. So throughout the week, I won't tell them what we're doing, you know, and things like that, or before sessions, you know, just because it's to take some of that emphasis away and realise that we can get so much from it without stressing ourselves out. And that's what I really want to pass over. I've got quite a laid back approach to lots of things, you know. I'm quite driven, but I'm quite laid back. So I just want to sort of pass that on a little bit and realise that we can take so much enjoyment from it without stressing too much. So thanks for that question, Dawn. Thanks for bringing that up. Dawn's been one of the participants of that, and I know she's taken a lot from it. So I'm really sort of pleased with her progress. But there's lots who have taken something from just approaching it in a different way, you know, trying to find a way around lockdown, trying to find a way around the restrictions, you know, but also really pushing on and being really driven to do it. So I really appreciate that. If you've got any comments about that, if you've got any questions, again, comment below. I'd love to sort of receive those and perhaps answer them next week, or perhaps answer them through the comments. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just about offering a bit of a difference of opinion on a Thursday, you know. I just want to sort of pass on some of my ideas, you know, get ideas from you guys. I always put out there looking for questions, looking for feedback, you know, because I talk every single day about sort of using inspiration from wherever we can. And if this is a source of it, you know, so if I can get it from you guys, that's fantastic too. So keep posting in your questions, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Just going back to what I said at the start, like I said, I'm feeling really good about what I'm doing again. Well, I know I'm feeling good because I've got lots of ideas spinning around my head. I have to be a little bit careful, you know. I can sort of end up at 2 o'clock in the morning thinking about them and overthinking them a little bit. But, you know I'm feeling great. Yesterday's walk, if you've not seen the video yesterday, I was full of it, you know, full of beans, really enjoying what I was doing. I ended up doing 7.5 mile walk, got 22,000 steps in. You know, other people did similar, other people did more even, you know. So that steps challenge is going particularly well. Wednesday workout has been fantastic. The solidarity session was absolutely brilliant on Tuesday, lots taking part, and all those things go into sort of making everything work for me, you know, making it work for those around us, and it's brilliant, isn't it? You know, last week I was feeling a bit sort of subdued, if anything, is probably the best word, you know, because it was getting to me, you know, the awful news, you know, of what was happening in the world, you know. And like I said, I've just used everything I can this week. The positivity built from the weather, people taking part in the activities, getting these questions, you know. And when I'm feeling that, you know, it gives me that extra determination to keep going forward. It's about surrounding yourself with positivity, isn't it? Kirsty said right at the start, and I've said it numerous times, switching off from the news sometimes, that can be just the thing. I come on a Thursday at the same time as the news, so you could always watch this instead, you know, make that positive change. If you're not watching then, so be it. But you know what I mean? It's just something a bit different. It's just something a bit lighthearted. Just trying to sort of pass on that bit of information to take forward and really use however we need to. And that's important, isn't it? You know, of course, every week I finish with a throwback question. And I'm going to use John's this week. I've already asked you to sort of post them in. There was a reason for me doing that. You know, drop a comment, you know, on this video. What's your favourite race distance? Where is it? Why is your favourite? You know, there's several reasons. It might drive some content next week. You know, we're I love that question, especially because, and I've thrown it back this week, because races are going to start springing up again, aren't they? You know, fingers crossed. You know, all being well, we've not heard anything to the contrary. We've not had any negative news apart from that slight bit about the vaccine. You know, so hopefully in the next few months, races are going to start popping up. Parkland's going to be back on. Running sessions are going to be back on. So I'm really looking forward to all those. So it'd be great to hear which are your favourites. Again, whilst I've got quite a busy calendar later in the year, you know, can't resist the temptation of somebody putting an event at me and then looking into it and thinking, yeah, I've got to do that one as well. You know, we've got to get their medal collections growing again. You know, so really looking forward to those. So if you can, you know, I'd love you to sort of comment on the videos, but any of the social media throughout the week, any of the running social media, any of my personal social media, drop a comment. I'll always pick it up. You know, I'll add it to my book. You know, all the questions are in there, and we'll look to answer those next week, and we'll look to sort of crack on and keep sort of supplying information you want to know. And that's what it's all about on a Thursday. Like I say, really enjoy it. Really get out of the comfort zone. A little bit unprepared today because of how busy and how full of it I am. I've still got to get out for a run, but it's still quite nice out there. A few spots of rain this afternoon. Not quite as nice as yesterday, but it's definitely worth getting out. It's not even that dark yet looking behind me. So another couple of weeks and the clocks will change. Something to be really positive about, isn't it? You know, just on that subject, it's actually called an equinox today. Just a random fact for you. I was going to save it for tomorrow, but today is equinox, which actually means there's exactly the same amount of daylight as there is the same amount of darkness. Just something I stumbled across this morning. So from tomorrow, the days will be longer than the evenings, you know. So that's fantastic, isn't it? You know, I'm looking forward to getting up in the morning. I'm hoping to get in a really decent walk. I've got a plan for when the clocks change with Wake Up to Walk. But for now, I'm going to continue in the same vein, getting somewhere different, attacking the day, trying to maintain some positivity, take it into the weekend, look forward to all the things we do. I'm already thinking I'm going to resort to some of the things I did at the start of lockdown, because despite the fact I'm really positive, I'm still feeling some of those negative effects of the boredom of not having the things. So I'm going to resort back to some of the music, tune into one of the things I really enjoy. So it's all about that, planning, preparing, putting these things in, you know, and making the absolute most of them when we can. So hopefully you've enjoyed another Thursday Thoughts, guys. If you've got any questions, all the links have been there. I've encouraged you to post your comments in, email des@dorunning.org.uk, and I'll do my absolute best to get you involved. Keep the conversation going. Keep chatting about the things we enjoy. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? We've not had that opportunity in person, so let's do it in whichever way we can. Use the technology to its advantage. You know, of course, I'm trying to build DOdaily, so please drop a like, thumbs up, a share. You know, please subscribe. Encourage people to subscribe, even if they don't watch it. I do want them to watch it, but even if they don't, I need to get them subscriptions up. You know, because then they might watch it. So if you've not yet, please subscribe, like, share, do all those things that I need, you know, and I'll keep at it. I'll keep trying to get a bit more articulate as well. I've been trying to sort of crack on today. Like I said, I've had my warning from Kay that she's got to be watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm not quite sure it's one for me, but each to their own, you know. And like I say, be inspired by what people have said, what people have asked, and have a great evening. Until the morning and Wake Up to Walk. Check out where I am. I'll try and get on as quick as possible. Absolute nightmare on a Friday uploading. Don't know why, but there you go. Just doing it, guys.